Part 1. Everyone thought the teenager was guilty, even the audience, even the bailiff. And for the first 12 minutes, even the courtroom itself seemed emotionally against him. But then Judge Judy asked one question, and suddenly, entire case changed. Nobody expected it, not because the evidence looked weak, but because the story looked too simple. And simple stories inside courtrooms sometimes become the most dangerous, because real truth usually arrives messy. But manipulation arrives organized. And the woman standing in front of Judge Judy that morning looked organized, very organized, mid-40s, expensive handbag, perfect hair, carefully chosen clothes, controlled breathing, confident posture, the kind of confidence that quietly says, I already know how this ends. And honestly, that confidence caught Judge Judy's attention immediately, because truly hurt people often appear emotional, confused, frustrated. But this woman, she looked prepared, almost rehearsed. Across the courtroom sat a teenager, 17, thin frame, gray hoodie, hands folded tightly together, head lowered, no eye contact, no interruptions, no anger. And that detail mattered a lot, because people expect teenagers in court to react emotionally, defensively, impulsively. But this boy looked frozen, not rebellious, frozen. And Judge Judy noticed it immediately. The bailiff called the case. The woman stood first, and she didn't waste a second. Your Honor, pause. This boy destroyed my life. Strong opening. Too strong. Notice the wording, died my life. That's emotional framing, a classic persuasion tactic. Large emotional statements before facts appear. It creates subconscious sympathy. And honestly, half the courtroom emotionally leaned toward her instantly. Judge Judy remained still, watching. Silent, the woman continued. He vandalized my property. Pause. He harassed me. Pause. He scared me. Interesting. Notice the pattern, multiple accusations, rapid delivery, high emotional weight. That doesn't prove deception. Experienced judges pay attention to stacking behavior. Judge Judy looked toward the teenager. You're accused of all this? The boy looked up slowly and quietly answered, no. One word, no explanation, no defense, just no. Interesting, very interesting, because innocent people under pressure usually react one of two ways. They over-explain or emotionally collapse. But this teenager did neither. Judge Judy narrowed her eyes slightly. The woman continued quickly. He rides his bike in front of my house. Pause. Takes pictures. Pause. Follows me. Now the audience shifted emotionally. Following? That sounded bad. Very bad. And honestly, room started viewing the teenager differently. Judge Judy noticed. She always noticed. Then she asked calmly, how old are you? The boy swallowed. 17. Judge Judy nodded, still watching. What do your parents say? The courtroom changed instantly. The boy froze completely. Tiny reaction. Easy to miss. But Judge Judy saw it, and honestly, that tiny reaction bothered her, because fear doesn't always appear loud. Sometimes fear appears as silence, long silence, then quietly. Teenager said, my mom works. Judge Judy waited, and longer silence, then my dad left. The room softened slightly, but the woman interrupted immediately. He's trying to make people feel sorry for him. Too fast. Interesting. Very interesting. Judge Judy turned slowly and looked directly at her, cold, not angry, observing. Because interruption during emotional disclosure tells you something. It reveals discomfort. Judge Judy turned back. What happened? The teenager looked down, then answered quietly. I walk home. Pause. And her house is on the way. Silence. Small answer. Simple answer. Too simple. The woman immediately shook her head dramatically. That's a lie. Again, fast interruption. Again, Judge Judy noticed. Now pay attention carefully, because this is where something changed. Judge Judy stopped looking at the teenager and started watching the woman. Body language, breathing, timing, reaction speed. The woman looked emotionally intense. But emotionally intense doesn't mean truthful. Then Judge Judy asked, when did this start? The woman answered instantly. 3 months ago. Instant answer. No thinking. Interesting. Judge Judy turned to the teenager. Same question. He looked confused, actually confused, then answered, I don't know. Now that answer shocked people, because liars often prepare timelines. Real people often remember emotions, not dates. Judge Judy leaned back thinking, then asked, what exactly did he do? The woman pulled papers immediately, printed photos, hided pages, organized notes, prepared, very prepared. She handed them over. Judge Judy looked photos, the teenager, on a bicycle, near her street, Agon. At first glance, that looked bad, really bad. The audience noticed too. Whispers started. The teenager looked down again. Judge Judy quietly asked, did you take these? The woman smiled slightly. Yes. Too confident. Interesting. Judge Judy looked closer, then something tiny caught her attention. Something so small, Almost nobody would notice. Judge Judy looked up, then back down, then asked, "These were taken from inside your house?" The woman smiled. "Yes." Judge Judy stared, silent. And honestly, that silence became uncomfortable because suddenly, Judge Judy wasn't studying the teenager anymore. She was studying her. Then Judge Judy asked one question, one tiny question, and everything changed. "How did you know exactly when he'd be there?" The courtroom went silent. The woman stopped breathing. And suddenly, teenager looked up. The woman's face changed instantly, not dramatically, not loudly, but enough for Judge Judy to notice. And honestly, that's usually all she needs, because experienced judges don't wait for confessions. They watch reactions, and reactions happen before people can control them. The courtroom became painfully quiet. Judge Judy repeated calmly, "How did you know exactly when he'd be there?" The woman blinked once, twice, then smiled. Too quickly, bad sign, very bad sign. People who genuinely misunderstand questions usually ask for clarification. But manipulative personalities, they answer emotion before logic. "Oh please," she laughed nervously. "That's obvious." "Interesting." Judge Judy didn't move. "Explain. Now pay attention carefully." Because this is where the emotional energy inside the courtroom changed. The woman looked toward the audience, not Judge Judy. Audience, that matters. People performing often seek public agreement before answering difficult questions. She crossed her arms. "He always passed my house after school." Judge Judy stayed silent, then asked, "What time?" Tiny question, dangerous question. The woman answered immediately. 3:15. Too fast. Judge Judy looked down, then back up cold. "How many days?" Pause. Longer pause. The woman swallowed. "A lot." Interesting. Earlier she sounded precise. Now vague. Notice the shift. Prepared narratives usually collapse when details become unpredictable. Judge Judy looked at the photographs again, then quietly asked, "How many photographs are there?" The woman blinked. "I don't know." Judge Judy started counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 separate photographs. Judge Judy looked up. Silence, then asked, "So for weeks?" Pause. "You stood waiting with a camera." The courtroom shifted instantly. People started realizing something uncomfortable. Because suddenly, pictures didn't feel protective. They felt intentional. The woman laughed awkwardly. "I wanted evidence." Interesting. Judge Judy nodded slowly, then asked another question, one nobody expected. "What school does he go to?" The teenager looked up instantly. Confused, the woman answered, "Westfield High." Judge Judy froze, very slightly, and honestly, that tiny reaction mattered, because Judge Judy turned immediately toward the teenager. "What school do you go to?" The teenager quietly answered. Eastview. Dead silence. Nobody moved. The woman froze, complete freeze. Now this is where things became disturbing, because she corrected herself too fast. "Oh, I mixed them up. Bad move. Very bad move. Because people don't confuse schools casually. When they claim months of fear." Judge Judy stared long silent, then asked, "You've been documenting him for months." Pause. "But you don't know where he goes to school?" The woman opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing. The audience started whispering. Judge Judy raised her hand. Silence. Then she turned toward the teenager, and for the first time, she changed her tone, completely softer. "What's your side?" The boy looked nervous instantly, like nobody had expected him to speak. "Interesting. Very interesting. Because people falsely accused for long periods sometimes stop expecting to be believed." He swallowed, then quietly said, "She asked me for help." Boom, the courtroom froze. The woman immediately stood up. "That's a lie." Too fast again. Judge Judy pointed. "Sit." Cold. Sharp, controlled. The woman sat immediately. Judge Judy looked back. "What do you mean she asked for help?" The teenager looked embarrassed now, hands shaking. And honestly, that reaction didn't feel manipulative. It felt human. "She asked me to carry groceries." Pause. The courtroom went quiet again. Judge Judy blinked. "What?" He nodded. "I walked past her house." Pause. "She stopped me one day." Pause. "She asked if I could help." Judge Judy looked at the woman. She looked terrified. Not angry, terrified. "Huge difference," the teenager continued. "I helped." Pause. "Then she started asking every week." Silence. Audience reaction started changing. Judge Judy noticed, always noticed. The teenager looked down again, then quietly added, "She started asking personal questions." The woman interrupted again. "He's twisting everything." Judge Judy turned instantly, and honestly, her expression changed, because interruptions reveal pressure, and pressure reveals fear. Judge Judy looked back. "What kind of questions?" The teenager hesitated, then answered quietly, "If my mom worked late." Pause. "If I came home alone." Long silence. The courtroom froze. Judge Judy didn't move, but something changed in her eyes. Because suddenly, this case didn't feel like harassment anymore. It felt reversed. Then the teenager quietly said something that changed everything. She started taking pictures first. The courtroom exploded. Actual gasps. The woman immediately stood up again. Judge Judy slammed her pen down. Sit down. Dead silence. The teenager looked scared now, but continued. And honestly, this didn't sound rehearsed. It sounded remembered. She said nobody would believe me. The courtroom went completely silent. Judge Judy slowly turned toward the woman. And for the first time all day, woman didn't look confident. She looked trapped. Then Judge Judy asked quietly, "Do you have your phone?" And suddenly, woman stopped breathing. The woman didn't answer. She just stared. And honestly, that silence told Judge Judy more than words ever could, because innocent people usually react one of two ways: confusion or cooperation. But this woman looked afraid, very afraid. Judge Judy repeated calmly, "Do you have your phone?" The woman swallowed. "Yes." Judge Judy nodded once. "Bring it." The courtroom froze. Now pay attention carefully, because this is where manipulation becomes dangerous. People assume lies collapse when evidence appears. That's not usually true. Manipulative people often survive through confidence until something private becomes public. And suddenly, that confidence disappears. The woman held her purse tighter, too tight. Judge Judy noticed immediately. Interesting, very interesting, because protective behavior around objects often signals emotional attachment or fear. The woman forced a smile. "My phone has nothing to do with this." Bad answer, very bad answer. Judge Judy leaned back. "I didn't ask if it did." Silence. The audience shifted. Even the bailiff looked more alert now. The teenager sat completely still too still. And honestly, that detail bothered Judge Judy because he didn't look hopeful. He looked prepared to lose. That's important. People who expect nobody to believe them stop fighting emotionally. Judge Judy pointed. "Phone." The woman slowly walked forward, and for the first time all hearing, she wasn't performing confidence anymore. Her steps looked careful, controlled, like she was thinking, calculating. Judge Judy took the phone, opened it, calm, and honestly, the woman's reaction changed immediately. Her breathing got faster. Now this is where things became disturbing. Judge Judy didn't open messages, didn't open social media, didn't check calls. She opened photos, straight to photos. Interesting move. Very interesting. Because people reveal intentions visually. Judge Judy scrolled, stopped, scrolled again, stopped again. And suddenly, her expression changed. Not shock, not anger, recognition. Dangerous recognition. The courtroom became silent. Judge Judy looked up, then asked quietly, "When did you start taking pictures?" The woman froze, not emotionally, physically, complete freeze, and honestly, that reaction terrified the audience more than crying would have, because now everybody knew. Judge Judy found something. The woman tried smiling. For protection. Judge Judy looked back down, scrolled again, then asked, "How many photos do you have?" Silence. The woman whispered, "I don't know." Judge Judy turned the screen, and for the first time, audience could partially see rows, photographs, dozens, maybe hundreds. The courtroom shifted instantly. Judge Judy looked directly at her. "These go back 7 months. Silence, pure silence. The woman stopped blinking. The teenager slowly looked up, confused. Judge Judy kept scrolling, then stopped. Long silence, very long silence, then quietly asked, "Why are there pictures of him before your complaint?" Boom. The courtroom exploded. The woman's face lost color instantly. Now this is where things became psychologically fascinating, because she didn't deny it. She didn't ask what photos. She immediately attacked emotionally. "You don't understand. Bad move, very bad move." Judge Judy stayed calm, always calm, but sharper now. "What am I not understanding?" The woman started breathing harder, then suddenly said, "I was scared." Judge Judy nodded. "Interesting answer." Then asked, "So scared, pause, that you documented him for 7 months, pause, before reporting him?" Dead silence. The audience started realizing something uncomfortable. This wasn't random documentation. This looked intentional. Judge Judy scrolled again, then stopped completely. And honestly, what she found changed everything. She slowly looked toward the teenager, then asked, "Did she ever text you?" The teenager froze. Tiny reaction, easy to miss, but Judge Judy saw it. He quietly answered, "Yes." The woman stood instantly. "Those were normal." Judge Judy looked up slowly. "Cold, too cold. Sit down." The woman sat. Judge Judy turned the phone and quietly said, "These don't look normal." Dead silence. Judge Judy looked directly at the teenager. "What did she text?" Long pause. The boy looked embarrassed, then quietly said, "She asked if I wanted money." The courtroom erupted. Actual gasps. The woman immediately started shaking her head. "That's not what happened." Too fast. And Judge Judy didn't move. "What happened?" Long silence, dangerous silence. Then the teenager whispered, "She wanted me to help her make videos." The courtroom froze. Nobody moved. Judge Judy blinked once. "What kind of videos?" Long pause. The teenager looked down, then quietly said, "Videos where I acted aggressive." Dead silence, pure dead silence. The audience stopped breathing. The woman's eyes filled instantly, not sadness, panic. Judge Judy slowly leaned back, and honestly, at this point, Judge Judy wasn't investigating harassment anymore. She was investigating something much darker. Then she quietly asked one final question. And suddenly, woman started crying immediately. "Why were you filming him?" Pause. "Before you accused him."